All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're looking at a true crime case that really gripped the nation. The mysterious death of Melissa James.
Yeah.
She was a young woman who moved out to Las Vegas to chase her dreams and ended up vanishing without a trace back in 2005.
Wow.
Our main source here is going to be this super interesting podcast episode called 48 Vegas Heat.
Okay.
It really goes into the nitty-gritty of the investigation and the trial.
Sounds juicy.
We're talking glitz and glamour, a power couple in the bodybuilding world, and a whole web of secrets. Get ready, it's a wild ride.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so picture this. Las Vegas in the early 2000s, bodybuilding and fitness competitions are exploding in popularity.
Right.
And right at the center of all this are Craig Titus, a champion bodybuilder, and his wife, Kelly Ryan, who is like a huge name in fitness.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they had it all. Fame, fortune, the seemingly perfect life. But then, bam, this facade starts to crumble.
What happened?
Well, a burned-out car, registered to Kelly, is found just abandoned out in the desert.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good at all. And of course, this discovery immediately kicks off a massive mystery.
Yeah, I bet.
Was this some kind of tragic accident? A jealous rage? Or was there something way more sinister going on?
Okay, so let's get to know our main player here. Who was Melissa James?
So Melissa was this talented dancer with big dreams of opening her own studio someday.
I see.
Full of life, tons of charisma. She moved to Vegas, drawn in by all that energy and opportunity.
Right, Vegas has that pull.
Totally. And there she connects with Craig and Kelly, becoming their live-in assistant.
Oh, wow, so she was right in the thick of it.
Exactly. She was helping them out with all their different ventures, and it seemed like a good setup, Melissa with her aspirations and Craig and Kelly, these established figures in the fitness world. It was like this fusion of ambition and dreams, almost like something out of Shakespeare, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
But from the very beginning, there were cracks in this picture-perfect setup.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Melissa was dealing with some personal struggles, and tension was brewing between her and Kelly.
Classic love triangle situation.
Well, there were definitely rumors of a possible affair going on between Melissa and Craig.
Ooh, spicy. I can see how that would add fuel to the fire.
Exactly. And then, suddenly, Melissa vanishes.
Wait, so the burned car, was that...
That's the big question. So the car surfaces, and Craig and Kelly's actions just start getting weirder and weirder.
How so?
They tell the police that Melissa stole the car and took off to New Jersey.
That seems fishy.
Super fishy. They're trying to deflect suspicion, and then boom, they disappear themselves.
That's not a good look.
Not at all. Meanwhile, Melissa's mom, Maura, she's waiting for Melissa at the airport in New Jersey.
Oh, no.
Melissa never shows. After days of frantic calls and worry, she finds out about the unidentified body in that burned car.
Heartbreaking.
Absolutely. And to make matters worse, when Craig finally calls Maura back, he insists that Melissa is totally fine, alive and well.
Wow, really? Trying to control the narrative much.
Right. It's like, dude, come on. But his actions just keep raising more and more suspicion.
So what did the police find?
Well, as they dig deeper, they start uncovering a bunch of evidence pointing straight to Craig and Kelly.
Like what?
Remember how Kelly claimed that Melissa was using her debit card to steal from them?
Yeah.
Security footage shows Kelly herself using that exact card to buy, get this, 7 bottles of lighter fluid.
Okay, so maybe not just for a barbecue then.
No, definitely not. And there's even footage of someone who looks a lot like Craig helping her load those bottles into the car before it went up in flames.
That's not looking good for them at all.
Nope, not at all. And then the story gets even wilder.
Oh boy, what now?
Kelly's friend, Megan Foley, comes forward with some shocking information. She claims she was at their house the night Melissa disappeared and witnessed some really disturbing stuff.
Oh wow, like what?
She says Kelly admitted to tasing Melissa during an argument.
What?
And then, get this, Craig apparently demonstrated a chokehold on Megan and even mentioned how it could be used to kill someone.
That's just chillin'.
Totally chillin'. And
Right.
you want to know the kicker.
Like that?
Remember that gym bag Craig gave Megan as she was leaving?
Yeah.
The police found a taser, a leather sap, a brutal weapon, and traces of Melissa's DNA inside.
Whoa, okay, that changes things.
Big time. It's getting harder and harder to believe this was all just some tragic accident.
I can see why.
So with the walls closing in, what do Craig and Kelly do?
They run, right?
Bingo. They go on the run. 9 days after Melissa vanishes, the FBI finally tracks them down and arrests them in Boston.
Makes sense. They knew they were in trouble.
Totally. Now, the police have their theory. A violent fight fueled by jealousy and drugs.
Makes sense.
They believe the argument escalated, ending with Melissa's death, and they suspect Kelly, maybe driven by jealousy over this alleged affair with Craig, started the violence and then Craig finished it.
It's a classic tale of, well, not love exactly, but betrayal and jealousy gone wrong.
Absolutely. It has all the elements of a classic tragedy. But remember, the police still need to prove their theory in court.
Right, that's the tricky part.
And that's where things get even more complicated. The coroner's report ends up throwing a major wrench in the prosecution's case. Because the body was so badly burned, they couldn't determine exactly how Melissa died.
Oh, wow. So there's reasonable doubt.
Exactly. Which the defense will absolutely use to their advantage.
Yeah, for sure. This just got a whole lot more complicated.
Right. And of course, Craig's defense attorney, the flamboyant Mark Sedges, he's definitely going to capitalize on that lack of a clear cause of death. Meanwhile, Craig, he decides to share his version of what happened.
Let me guess, he claims innocence.
He says he walked in on Kelly and Melissa fighting, stepped in to protect his wife, and accidentally killed Melissa while trying to restrain her. He claims it was self-defense, a tragic accident fueled by drugs and chaos.
Sounds convenient.
Very convenient. He even tries to blame Melissa, saying she attacked Kelly and overdosed.
Is there any truth to that?
Well, his story is full of inconsistencies, and he doesn't even address key things like the duct tape, the lighter fluid, or the fact that he tried to cover up the whole thing.
Okay, so not so believable then.
Not really. The prosecution team, led by Josh Tomchek and Robert Daskas, they have a tough job ahead of them. They believe Craig and Kelly are guilty of murder, but they have to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, it's classic courtroom battle.
For sure. They need to untangle this web of lies, sift through all these conflicting stories, and present a solid narrative that reveals the truth about what happened to Melissa. And just when you think this case couldn't get any crazier, it does.
Oh no, what happened?
In a totally shocking move, Craig and Kelly decide to take a plea deal.
What? Why would they plead guilty if they say they're innocent?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Stay tuned because we'll unpack this unexpected twist in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's like a total curveball in the whole case.
Right. Why plead guilty if you're claiming innocence? It's the big question hanging over everyone in the courtroom.
Totally.
So Craig ends up pleading guilty to second-degree murder, kidnapping, and arson,
Wow.
while Kelly takes a plea deal for lesser charges,
Yeah.
battery and arson. But buckle up because this wild ride isn't over just yet. Just a few days after taking that plea deal, Craig does something completely unexpected.
What do you do?
He goes and gives an interview to a local TV station, proclaiming his innocence.
No way.
Yeah, he's saying he only took the deal to make sure Kelly would be released.
Interesting. So, like, was this some genuine change of heart, or was he trying to manipulate how people saw him?
That's a good question. It was definitely a bold move.
Yeah.
Like he was playing this high-stakes game with the whole justice system.
He was definitely taking a risk.
Totally. And the judge, she wasn't having any of it.
What did she do?
She calls Craig back into court, demanding to know if he was really guilty of those crimes he confessed to.
Oh, man, I bet that was tense.
I can only imagine. Everyone waiting to see if he sticks with the guilty plea or tries to withdraw it and risk going to trial.
Yeah, that could backfire big time. He could have ended up with an even worse sentence.
Absolutely. But facing all that evidence and the judge who was not messing around, Craig eventually backs down.
So he stuck with the guilty plea.
He did. It seems like even though he was trying to spin the story his way, the evidence was just too much to overcome.
It's a reminder that you can't always outsmart the system.
Exactly. So now it's time for sentencing.
Right.
Melissa's mother, Maura, and her best friend, Samantha, they travel all the way to Vegas to confront Craig and Kelly to demand justice for Melissa.
I bet that was powerful.
Incredibly powerful. The courtroom was this space filled with grief, anger, and this desperate need for justice. It's a reminder that behind all the legal stuff and the media frenzy, there are real people whose lives have been shattered.
For sure.
Maura and Samantha, they give their victim impact statements talking about their loss and the pain Craig and Kelly have caused.
Those statements can be so impactful.
Yeah, really are. The judge, known for being pretty tough, she delivers this really scathing rebuke of Craig's arrogance and his attempts to manipulate the system.
Wow.
He gets the maximum sentence, 21 to 55 years behind bars.
That's a long time.
It is. Kelly, because her role in the crime was seen as less direct, gets a lighter sentence, 6 to 17 years.
So they're both held accountable, but to different degrees.
Right. It's a bittersweet victory for Melissa's loved ones. Justice is served in the legal sense, but their grief is still so raw. No amount of prison time can truly bring Melissa back.
No, it can't.
Yeah,
It highlights the limitations of the justice system.
you're right. It can punish, but it can't heal that kind of loss.
Exactly.
Maura and Samantha, they do something really beautiful. They create a memorial for Melissa near the spot where her burned car was found.
That's a lovely tribute.
It is. It's a place for them to grieve, remember her, and honor her memory.
A place where they can feel connected to her.
Yeah. So now let's look at what happened after all this. Kelly ends up being released from prison in 2017 after serving almost 9 years. And while she was behind bars, she and Craig divorced.
Okay, so a new chapter for Kelly, but one forever marked by this case.
Absolutely. It makes you think about second chances and how the choices we make can have lasting consequences. Craig, he's still in prison, serving his sentence.
It's a stark reminder that actions have consequences.
They really do. We've talked about Melissa's disappearance, the investigation, the trial, that wild plea deal, and the sentencing, but there are still so many unanswered questions.
Yeah, that's often the case with true crime. Even with a conviction, there can still be doubts and mysteries.
Like, we still don't know for sure how Melissa died.
Right.
Was it the fight with Craig and Kelly? Was it an accidental overdose, like Craig said? Or is there another explanation we might never know?
It's frustrating, but sometimes the answers just aren't there.
And then there's the question of motive. Jealousy seems to make sense given the whole love triangle thing, but could there have been other reasons too?
Like what?
Maybe money was involved. Or did Craig and Kelly worry that Melissa might reveal some secrets that could hurt them?
It's possible there was more than one motive at play.
It really makes you wonder what would have happened if Melissa had never gone to Vegas.
Right. Would she still be alive today, chasing her dream somewhere else, far from all the darkness that led to her death?
The Melissa James case is a tragedy that shows us that even in the most glamorous places, danger can be hidden just below the surface.
It reminds us to be careful, to think critically, and to not be fooled by appearances.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore what we can learn from this case and what it tells us about the world we live in. Stay with us as we try to make sense of this complex and heartbreaking story. We've gone through the investigation, the trial, that crazy plea deal, and the sentencing, but the Melissa James case, it leaves us with more than just what happened in the courtroom, doesn't it?
It does. It kind of makes you think about, like, the darker side of ambition and fame, and, well, how fragile life can be.
Yeah. And even though Craig Titus is still locked up, serving his time, there's this lingering feeling like we've only scratched the surface of what really happened.
I get that.
Yeah.
Like, we're still left with all these unanswered questions, trying to put the puzzle together, trying to understand all the chaos and the tragedy.
One of the biggest things that we're left wondering about is how Melissa actually died. That coroner's report, because of the condition of her body, it doesn't give us a clear answer.
It shows you, like, sometimes forensic science can only go so far. We don't always get those definitive answers.
Right. And so we're left guessing. Was it the fight with Craig and Kelly that killed her? Or could it have been an overdose like Craig claimed? Or was there something else entirely going on, something we might never know about?
It's like, you can't help but speculate. It's human nature to want to find answers, even when it seems impossible.
I think the Melissa James case is a cautionary tale. Even in a city like Vegas, known for its glamour and excitement, there's a dark side lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's like, don't be fooled by the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah.
There are always darker currents flowing underneath, hidden behind this idea of success and perfection.
It also makes you wonder, like, how far some people are willing to go to get what they want.
Yeah, ambition without any morals can be a dangerous thing, you know?
This case isn't just about a crime, a trial, a guilty verdict. It's about the people involved. Melissa's dreams that were cut short, her family's pain, and how violence affects so many more people than just the victim.
It's about broken trust, ambition gone wrong, and the need for justice and understanding.
The Melissa James case, it makes us think critically, question what we believe, and face some uncomfortable truths about the world.
Like, sometimes what we see isn't the whole story, and people's reasons for doing things are complicated. Finding the truth, it's not always easy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we hope you've gained some insight into this fascinating and tragic case. Keep digging into the story, check out the source material, and come to your own conclusions.
That's what's great about true crime. It's not just entertainment. It's about real stories, understanding why people do what they do, and learning from it all.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, exploring a new case, a new mystery. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep your minds open.